what's going on, everybody? I'm Ash.
And I'm Beanie.
And today we're diving into r/Tales from Retail. Everybody who's ever worked in any sort of retail, I hope you're ready to cringe and feel pain and just get PTSD from all these stories. So, without further ado, let's start the pain and suffering. Yippee! Our first story is by Purple Birdie Lady 623. We don't have enough change to break that $100 bill right now. I, 29F, work the graveyard shift at a local convenience store in my town, and we definitely get a bunch of crazies at night. This particular instance happened about 15-ish minutes ago. Two men came in as I was mopping the floors and began to look around my store. One went to the restroom and the other grabbed some snacks. One of the men, as he was waiting for his buddy to finish in the restroom, tried to buy all of their snacks with a $100 bill. Now, I'm supposed to do several safe drops throughout the night, and I had just done one maybe 30-ish minutes before they came in. Other than the safe drops, I really don't have access to the safe. Obviously, I didn't quite have enough change in the till to break that 100 and let them know as such. Unfortunately, he didn't take this well. He kept telling me to just complete the purchase and give him his change. I had to tell him 5 times that we didn't have enough change, but he just wasn't listening. I tried asking him if he had anything smaller than that, but he didn't. He threatened to talk to the manager about this, but I was the only one there at the time, so obviously the manager wasn't there. It was at this point I just told him and his buddy to leave. Him and his buddy were so stubborn. It was absolutely ridiculous. Why do you only have 100 going into a store, is my question. Like, if you're going into something like Walmart, like, yeah, cool, but a local convenience store kind of just suggests, hey, bring like 20s, you know, maybe a 50. Like, they might have stuff for 50s, but, dude, not 100.
Yeah, dude, especially if it's a graveyard shift. As somebody who did work graveyard shifts at a convenience store type thing, they do in fact have like multiple safe drops throughout the night. That way you're not collecting a shit ton of money because you are working very, very late into the evening, and that is like some people's like favorite time to go and like rob convenience stores and stuff like that. It just makes it safer. Alright, this next Reddit post comes from Sunny Monkey. I got into a shouting match with a customer. So this happened yesterday. It was my first real confrontation with a customer beyond the normal, please don't do that thing, that's against the rules conversation. I'll say up top, as an employee, I should not have used the word stupid. However, I didn't pause long enough to remember I needed to react as an employee and instead reacted as a community member who saw a child in a dangerous situation. I work at a furniture store, Swedish and Blue. If you're not familiar, you can buy furniture in boxes and build it yourself. Ah, okay, I know what you're talking about. Walmart! We have specific carts, flat carts, to carry your heavy boxes on. So I'm trying to leave the warehouse floor to go to lunch. I see a young guy who I thought was probably 16 with a much younger brother running down an aisle pushing a flat with 2 boxes and a young child. The setup is 1 box on the cart, 1 box leaning upright between the handles of the cart, and a 3 to 4 year old kid laying on top of the bottom box but under the leaner. Not a good spot. So I immediately react, absolutely not. The adult, almost adult, stops the cart and leans down to the kid. Oh, sorry buddy, you gotta get off now. I then tell him, and I need you to not be running around with the full cart. Now honestly, I couldn't remember what exactly the guy said here if you offered me $1 million. But I know he pushed back on my stopping their fun because I responded by pointing at the cart and saying, because that's a stupid decision. Talking about having a small child lay down between 2 heavy boxes while you push it as fast as you can go. He did not like my calling him out. Okay, hate all you want, but I would never tell my son something is a stupid idea. Son? I didn't see that one coming. I started to walk away then, but he follows me into the walkway yelling, great idea, call your customers stupid. He's causing a bigger scene than necessary, so I turned back and told him, I didn't call you stupid, I was telling you that was a bad idea. What if he was under there and that box slipped and fell on him? Y'all, I'm not exaggerating here. The second I finished that sentence, the box in question slipped from its propped position and fell exactly where the kid had been laying. I have witnesses on that timing. At this point, I'm imploring this guy to realize the risk he was taking with his kid's safety. I raised my voice above his tirade and gesture at the fallen box. What if he was still under there? This guy had the audacity to shoot back. He wasn't, though. As if he has grounds to claim responsibility for his son not being between those boxes anymore. Like it wasn't entirely my doing. So I shouted back because I made him get off. And then I walked away and left him yelling after me and trying to bring other customers into it. A coworker told me that he even turned to his kid and said, "Can you believe she called us stupid?" And that's what I have the biggest problem with. I didn't call anyone stupid. However you want to interpret my using the word in the first place is up to you. But this preschooler had no blame in this situation, and I absolutely didn't address him even once. That guy basically told his young child that he was at fault and that a random adult called him stupid. If you're so concerned with your kid not being told he's stupid, console him. Don't follow him around and yell at a stranger, then bring him into it like he's an equal participant. As I said at the beginning, I should have said bad or terrible, but I won't feel bad about keeping a young kid from getting very hurt. I told my manager exactly what happened, and he basically said to pay attention to wording, but he's never going to tell us not to say anything if we see a dangerous situation. Holy shit! What kind of idiot puts their child in a situation like that and then blames the child?
Guy interprets words worse than me. Holy shit.
Damn, yeah. It takes a lot.
What do you mean it takes a lot? Our next story is by Diligent Elk 688. Why are you like this, sir? That's the question I asked a lot of people when I worked at Walmart. One completely normal day at work, on evening shift, I was manning the cashier as usual. This being in the sports equipment store in the mall. As I am on my way to the register after doing something else, my colleague comes up to me and tells something hilarious. He'd walked into the storage room and found a random man standing there with a receipt in his hand, looking a bit confused. What this man had done was, 1. He had gone to the mall's basement parking garage after buying something and wanted to collect his item from pickup. There are doors used for that in the parking garage related to each store. 2. He must have missed the gigantic logo on the door that reads, "Insert store name here." This door is locked, as it is also our staff entrance from the parking garage. 3. He pressed the emergency open button next to the door, which is only to be used in case of a fire, as there's an emergency exit past this and another door. Then he entered and took our goods elevator to the 3rd floor from the basement, and that is where my colleague found him. The real kicker? The receipt was from a different store entirely. The emergency button kept beeping, and so customers went to tell a completely unrelated store about this, which led to one of the store's workers coming to tell us about this. The aftermath is that the elevator now requires a key card to operate. I don't really have much to say. This guy's just an idiot who opens an emergency button to prioritize himself if you're not entitled.
I agree with the title of this post. Why are you like this? Okay, believe it or not, this next post is also by Diligent Elk 688, a very kind customer. To break up my streak of slightly negative stories, here's a short and sweet one. I was at work in the sports equipment store from my first post, a store that sells sport supplements, outdoor hunting, skiing, and biking stuff. I was manning the cashier as usual, and it was about 3 out of 5 hours into my shift. An English-speaking guy comes and asks for my help in solving a confusing mess of price posters on protein powders to get the cheapest option. I help him find it, and he proceeds to say, "Thank you so much, I'm gonna buy you a chocolate." I pause for a moment, look at him, and say, "Do you mean it?" And he says, "Yeah, what chocolate do you like?" "Milk chocolate," I respond. He leaves the store. I didn't expect him to actually do it, but about 7 minutes later, he comes back and hands me a large-sized milk chocolate bar and a Coca-Cola before shaking my hand and saying, "Here, you have a chocolate, Coke, and a new friend." And he left again.
Aww. What a nice guy.
for reference, the cost of these 2 items is almost the amount he saved on the protein powder. This gesture made my whole day better, and the Coke was the energy boost I needed for the rest of the day. Thank you, kind stranger. Ah, my heart! That's so
We
cute!
need more people like this. Please.
On God, please. Please, 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 please.
Alright, this next story is also by Diligent Elk 688. Give me my receipt now. For context, I work in a store that sells sports, camping, outdoor, and hunting equipment. This includes hunting rifles and air rifles. I work there as a cashier, and said cashier is at the exit of this relatively large store. I have many strange stories from this store and a previous store. This is one of them. One day, I am behind the only open register, and a 50-something man comes stomping into the store, straight up to my register, and without me even being able to say hi, he says, "I need my receipt now," in a slightly irritated voice. Dumbfounded, I respond, "Okay, when did you come here for the purchase, and what was it?" He responds, still slightly irritated, "I don't know when." I kinda just stare at him for a second before he continues, "Look, it should be around a year ago-ish. My insurance company said you have it on record." Trying hard not to roll my eyes at him, I ask, "Do you have a more specific time frame? What month?" He gets slightly louder and more irritated before he says, "Look, I don't have time for this. Let me write down my info. I purchased an air rifle last year and I need the receipt." I have him write down his info before I ask one final question that would help me locate his receipt. "Are you a member of our store?" "Yes, I am." I check his number. Of course he isn't a member. Before I even get to tell him this, he's already on his way out of the store, even angry now for whatever reason. This guy really thinks I would manually look for his receipt from around last year with an air rifle on it among several 100,000 receipts? Keeping in mind that receipts aren't even kept in record that far back, at least not that I, a basic cashier, would have access to. Who walks into a store and is just like, "Give me my receipt from sometime with this on it. I don't know when. Just look for it. It's your job."
Like, bitch, do you know how incredibly vague that is in the grand scheme of things? This next Reddit post is by Disastrous Target 5060. No, you can't leave your vehicle parked at the gas pumps while you run errands elsewhere. Had a customer come in earlier on a motorcycle, got some gas and some snacks, no issue. Started off as a friendly guy. As he was paying, he looked back out the window at his motorcycle, still parked at the pump, and started telling me that should be a good enough spot to leave my bike. I've got to grab some things from the grocery store next door. Y'all know why that's just a no-no thing. It's common sense not to do. I'm kind of surprised I even had to explain to the guy that no, you can't leave your motorcycle parked at the gas pumps while you go shopping in another store. You'd think I was trying to explain astrophysics to him for how confused he was by that. I did point out that he's welcome to bring his bike to park at the side of the building or in any of the parking spots in the grocery store's parking lot. It's literally next door. We share parking spaces. It's not going to be any more effort for him to take his bike over there than it is walking to the store. Then he started getting that "how dare you tell me what I can't do" kind of aggressive as he tried to argue that he was just going to grab a few things so it'll be quick. It's just a motorcycle, it's not taking up much space. Like, man, that's not the issue. You can't park at the pumps and dip out because then customers who need it can't use the gas pumps. I don't think he ever understood why he can't just park and bail, because that requires thinking about something other than yourself. But he begrudgingly said he'd just take his bike over to the grocery store like it was the biggest inconvenience in the world. Sir. I don't know if you know this. Other people need gas. It's the whole point of a gas station. So that has been r/Tales from Retail. That gave me so much pain, and it makes me so happy to know that I'm no longer in retail. And if those of you who are watching are still in retail, I'm so sorry.
Get out while you still can. It's pain and suffering. You already know this. We already know this. Escape the void. Escape the void.
BB7 to all
Escape
of
the
you.
void. Escape the
Escape
void.
the void.
Escape the void.
Ah!
If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to hit like, subscribe, comment something. I don't really know. I don't really care. Just give us engagement. Thanks.
Thanks, love you, bye!
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Adios!
You're Spanish now?
Yeah.
And now, Dust Bunny bloopers. Two men came in. Is that why?
No.
Two men came in as I was mopping the floors. That's a weird place to come. Wait. Stop. I had to tell him 5 times.
Yeah, they do, fuck.
Doo-doo.
So I immediately I started to walk away, but then oh my god. Help.
Just read.
I'm trying!
And I'm the one who failed English.
He's causing a bigger scene than necessary, so I told her.
He had his dog. Dog? What?
Dog?
He had his dog at the store. Woof woof bark bark.
An English-speaking guy comes and asks.
What?